Yeah, as Sherry has indicated, what right does the U.S. have to diplomatically, economically, politically, now through quote-unquote international courts, what right do they have to interfere with the self-determination of any other country? And with July 4th right around the corner, it really begs the question for us Americans, why do we worship and praise and hold on to this system which, as Sherry said, wages starvation campaigns and blockades across the world, and anybody that the U.S. deems to be quote-unquote undemocratic, when it's the U.S. that's acting in the most undemocratic ways, unilaterally pressuring, blockading, invading, occupying Iraq, Palestine, Libya, Syria, North Korea, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba. How many examples do we have to see before the American people wake up?
Good stuff, Danny. And Cheryl, that's the thing. You hear the U.S. president time and again and his close aides refer to the fact or play the narrative that we don't have a problem with the people of Iran. We don't have a problem with the people of Venezuela. We just care about the government in Tehran. We have an issue with the government in Caracas. But time and again, you see that the steps and policies they take to try to punish those governments do very little to that end. In fact, they're hurting the average person. This fuel is needed for Venezuelans to stay warm, to stay fed, to commute, for their livelihoods. Tell me how this does not directly affect the people, what the U.S. aims to do every single time.
And to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Really, the United States is using a pandemic, death by disease, as a weapon against the people of the world. That's why more and more people are calling for an end to sanctions, at least, I mean, they should be ended completely, but at least during the pandemic. There can't be these economic restraints on people, on countries. But, if you look at the example of Cuba, which is kind of the template for their economic sanctions, it was actually written that that they knew that the leadership of the country in the early 60s was supported by the people. And the only thing the United States could do is create starvation and unemployment to try to make the people rebel against the government. And I think this is still the template today with Iran and with Venezuela. It's to cause as much hardship, as much turmoil, as much of a situation that is untenable for the people of the country, that they overturn the government that they've chosen. It's just another way, like, if you look back in history, you look at what happened with Mossadegh in Iran. When there are governments that are freely elected by the Iranian people, the United States intervenes. And it's really the truth again today. It's up to the Iranian people, not to the United States. And the United States should butt out and leave Iran and Venezuela alone. And also, what's happening with this South-South economic collaboration, it's really the future. The United States kind of wants everything to come through the United States so the United States can profit off it. Any kind of collaboration outside of that is something that they are taking measures against.
Thank you, Cheryl. And Danny, you remember last time with the last 5 oil tankers that the U.S. actually had threatened to block those tankers. Iran said, if you do, we'll have to retaliate. It was actually the Navy that told the Oval Office, please don't get us involved with merchant ships and whatnot. So my question to you, do you see this new round or possibly in the future this row between the U.S. and Iran over these tankers heading to some kind of confrontation?
That's certainly what Trump and his cabinet of hate, his war cabinet, wants. And we have no reason to think we'll get any reprieve if there's a Joe Biden presidency. Biden has promised that he will only improve, quote unquote, a relationship with Cuba if Cuba completely cuts off its entire relationship with Venezuela. And we know that the Cubans, after 60 years of integrity, revolutionary integrity, would never turn their back on the Bolivarians when they are the very synthesis of what it means, the Bolivarian unity. But I think really it's an opportunity for the American people to examine these things closely. Today, the banks of England announced that they wouldn't release $1 billion in Venezuelan gold to the Venezuelan people's leadership and democratically elected government. This is theft. This is highway robbery. This is piracy. And it's not that me and Ms. Labash are anti-American in any way. We're anti-imperialist. But only 38% of us in the United States even have passports. Most of us, my own family members and community, we've never traveled the world. We've never been to the Middle East or Southeast Asia or the Caribbean. So we only believe what Fox News and CNN says, that this is the greatest country in the world. But this isn't the greatest country in the world. There's no such thing. One country isn't greater than another. But one could say historically and empirically that this is the greatest exploiter that the world has ever seen.
I was going to thank you both for joining us. Time has gotten the better of us. Cheryl Labash from Detroit and Danny Shaw there joining us out of